In a world obsessed with fairness and feelings, the truth is that power still decides everything, at home, in school, at work, and in business. Yet most people who have nothing, no title, no wealth, no influence, still wonder why they stay unheard. Machiavelli, if he lived today, wouldn't waste time blaming society or the system. He'd study it, play it, and quietly take control of it. Power, in his view, isn't a gift, it's a strategy. And even in modern times, that strategy starts with understanding how people move, think, and react in real life. Today, we'll dive deep into how to actually gain power even if you have nothing, by seeing how Machiavelli himself would navigate the daily realities of parenting. Family conflicts, school systems, workplaces, and business deals, all without the luxury of wealth or rank. If you want to stop being the one who's always at the mercy of others, then listen closely. And before we begin, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, because what you'll learn here isn't motivation, it's survival in its most strategic form. If your teenager refuses to do chores and the family argument escalates every Friday night, Machiavelli in modern clothes would not plead for harmony or lecture about fairness, he would treat the situation as a micropolitical theater where perception, leverage, and timing win compliance. He would create a system where the child's small victories are visibly tied to privileges, phone time, friends over, gaming hours, each one framed as a reward for clearly defined actions. He would never argue in the heat of the moment. Instead, he would observe patterns for days, learn what the child values most, and then reposition household rules so that the child believes they are choosing to earn privileges rather than being coerced. If the teen crosses a boundary, Machiavelli would punish decisively but privately, no humiliating public scenes that inflame alliances, and follow the consequence with a clear path back to trust. In short, he converts emotional friction into predictable incentives, controls the narrative so parents appear decisive and calm, and uses small, consistent leverage to shift behavior rather than wasting energy on moralizing. When a sibling rivalry threatens to split the family over inheritance or a shared business, Machiavelli would stop the shouting and start mapping alliances. Who depends on whom, who can be swayed by money, who fears public shame, and who seeks validation. He would host private conversations rather than public confrontations, isolating the most influential sibling and offering them a visible but limited concession to secure their cooperation. He understands that visible unity matters, so he would design commemorative rituals or symbolic roles that make each person feel noticed while anchoring the real decisions in private agreements and legal paperwork. If manipulation is necessary, he prefers subtlety. Plant ideas through a trusted family member, allow rivals to think the compromise was their idea, and ensure that any document signed publicly conceals the real distribution underneath. Machiavelli modernized means making the family structure resilient through controlled perceptions, legal scaffolding, and calibrated rewards that dissolve conflict before it becomes a public spectacle. When two parents disagree publicly about discipline, Machiavelli would prioritize the appearance of unity while fixing disagreements in private. He would stage public consensus, a front that prevents children from exploiting parental division, and then use private negotiation to reassign roles so that one parent handles immediate discipline while the other manages long-term incentives and rewards. He understands that children shop for the softer parent, so he would deliberately let one parent be the visible enforcer in small matters to build credibility, while the other quietly engineers the rewards and privileges that keep the child motivated. If the child leverages the visible split, Machiavelli would subtly raise the stakes by linking privilege to unified parental approval, making the child associate cooperation with stability and division with loss. In the modern home, unity is not emotional, it's tactical. In the workplace, when everyone competes for recognition, Machiavelli would not play the honesty card, he would play the visibility card. He would make sure that every success, even minor, is witnessed by the right eyes. He would volunteer strategically, never for tasks that exhaust him, but for those that make him visible to decision-makers. When faced with lazy coworkers, he would neither complain nor confront. He would let their incompetence make him indispensable by positioning himself as the one who rescues the team when deadlines are tight. In meetings, he would speak only when silence has given his words more weight, ensuring that people remember what he said because he didn't talk too much. Machiavelli would climb the ladder not by friendship or flattery, but by controlling what others believe about his reliability and competence, a narrative he would craft carefully and defend ruthlessly. If trapped under an unfair boss, Machiavelli would not quit in outrage or grovel in submission. He would make himself too valuable to discard yet too quiet to threaten. He'd deliver results that strengthen the boss's image while subtly redirecting credit toward himself through documentation, casual conversations, and well-timed reports. He would flatter the boss's ego, not out of weakness, but because he understands that perceived loyalty buys time and access. Once positioned near the center of control, he would start building lateral alliances, with coworkers, clients, or supervisors above the boss, so that when the opportunity comes, he can pivot without being seen as a traitor. Power, for Machiavelli, isn't rebellion, it's preparation disguised as obedience. In business deals, Machiavelli would play a different game entirely. He would never negotiate for equality, he would negotiate for leverage. If he had no money, he would trade speed, information, or exclusive access. He'd study his opponent's emotional weaknesses, greed, pride, fear of missing out, and make the offer sound like their idea. During negotiations, he'd control the rhythm of communication, delaying replies when advantageous, answering instantly when urgency creates pressure. He would never show excitement even if the deal goes in his favor. And when it ends, he would praise the other party so that they never realize they've lost more than they gained. In the modern marketplace, Machiavelli would dominate not by aggression, but by emotional containment and psychological chess. In team projects or collaborations, he would ensure that credit is distributed in a way that elevates him as the silent architect. He'd let others take small victories while ensuring his contribution is framed as the backbone of success. If tension arises, he would not fight publicly, he'd wait until opinions sway, then strike with calm authority, appearing like the voice of reason when everyone else looks emotional. Power today is not about domination but about controlling narratives, and Machiavelli would master that with quiet precision. In business partnerships, when trust breaks down, he would not rant about betrayal. He would restructure the deal to expose the betrayer to more risk while keeping his own position insulated. He would let them believe reconciliation is mutual while preparing a silent exit plan that leaves them holding liabilities he's already escaped from. Power in modern business is not about revenge, it's about survival through information, timing, and restraint. Machiavelli would treat social media as a stage, not a diary. Every post, every photo, every response would be calculated. He would build an image that attracts alliances, not pity, influence, not empathy. In an age where exposure equals vulnerability, he would choose mystery over transparency, controlling what others think they know. His online silence would speak louder than most people's noise. If Machiavelli lived today, he wouldn't be rich by luck, he'd be powerful by design. He'd turn parenting into leadership, arguments into influence, work into strategy, and business into warfare disguised as cooperation. His methods wouldn't always feel moral, but they would always be effective. Power, in his world, belongs not to those who wish for it, but to those who study people deeply enough to move them. So if you want to rise in this modern chaos, at home, in school, at work, or in business, stop chasing approval and start mastering perception. The world rewards those who act with intelligence, patience, and quiet calculation. If you learned something from Machiavelli's way today, make sure to like, share, and subscribe, because understanding power is the first step to finally taking it.